Deep within the quiet chambers of the soul lies a mystery that has captivated both philosophers and psychologists for centuries: the quest for authentic existence. What does it truly mean to be yourself in a world that constantly pushes you to fit in? For women, this question carries a special weight. Their identities have long been shaped by outside expectations, cultural pressures, and inherited roles that often drown out their inner voice. Carl Jung, with his profound understanding of the human psyche, offers not just insight, but a path, the journey of individuation, where a woman reconnects with her true essence. This path isn't about rebelling against the world, but about courageously unearthing the self beneath years of conditioning. It's in this sacred space, where the conscious and unconscious meet, that a woman discovers her truest power. Not by bending to society's image of her, but by awakening to what she already is at her core. The unforgettable woman is the one who's dared to integrate all parts of herself, shadow and light, anima and persona, and steps into the world as a living embodiment of authenticity. Her presence doesn't just change her life, it moves everyone she encounters. Since ancient times, the feminine image has been wrapped in myth, archetype, and social narrative, shaping how women are perceived and how they perceive themselves. But beyond those layers lies something far more real: the essence of the self, what Jung called individuation, the full integration of who we truly are. Becoming a strong, unforgettable woman isn't about fitting someone else's image or adjusting to expectations. It's about learning the language of your own psyche, embracing the shadow, understanding the anima's influence, and allowing a deeper truth to shine through. Many women spend their lives searching for answers outside themselves, believing that external approval holds the key to worthiness. But Jung turned that idea on its head. Transformation doesn't come from the outside, it begins within. When we stop chasing validation and start listening inward, we begin to understand the quiet messages of the unconscious and find the courage to embrace every part of our being. Maybe you felt lost, small, or stuck in the need to be accepted or loved. Maybe you've been in relationships where you had to dim your light to make others feel comfortable. But here's the truth: you weren't meant to shrink. Your light was never meant to be hidden. The power of the unforgettable woman doesn't lie in obedience or perfection. It comes from the clarity and confidence of someone who knows who she is. To truly understand what it means to be this kind of woman, we need to begin with one of Jung's core ideas, the Anima archetype. Jung believed every human contains both masculine and feminine energy, and real psychological maturity comes when we learn to balance those inner forces. A woman who integrates her anima in a healthy way becomes magnetic. Her energy is undeniable. But many women have been taught to suppress their real selves, afraid of being too bold, too independent, too much. Jung would say this is the shadow at work, the rejected parts of us hiding in the unconscious. And if we don't face them, they control us from the dark. Maybe you found yourself in relationships where you felt unseen, or where your feelings seemed overlooked. Or perhaps you've noticed a pattern of attracting people who mirror your own hidden insecurities. This isn't mere chance. It's the reflection of an unintegrated shadow within you. When a woman courageously faces her shadow, acknowledging her fears, wounds, and those hidden parts she once tried to conceal, she becomes unforgettable. Not because she seeks to impress, but because her energy is genuine, her presence unwavering, and her essence impossible to ignore. Jung taught that the unconscious communicates through symbols and recurring patterns. When we dismiss our emotions or intuition, these messages return persistently in various forms. If you find yourself repeating the same painful experiences or falling into relationships where your worth isn't recognized, it's your psyche's way of sending a vital lesson. True strength isn't about never feeling fear or pain. It's about learning to interpret these messages and using them to grow. Real resilience means moving forward without losing your core self, not building walls to avoid getting hurt. When you decide to stop sacrificing your needs to please others, when you set firm boundaries without guilt, and when you realize your value isn't defined by others' opinions, your energy shifts profoundly. Your unconscious stops attracting insecurity-laden relationships, and instead, you begin to draw people who resonate with your authentic frequency. Jung emphasized individuation, the process of becoming whole and independent, rather than a mere extension of collective expectations. On this path, an unforgettable woman doesn't conform to the roles society has imposed on her. She questions, challenges, and seeks her own truth. Throughout history, women who have left a lasting impact did so not by following rules, but by breaking free from them. They integrated their shadows, trusted their intuition, and understood that their power comes not from others' validation, but from deep connection with their own essence. You too can be unforgettable, not because of possessions or appearance, but through the depth with which you embody your being. When you honor your story, embrace both your light and darkness, and walk confidently without fitting into any mold, you become a presence impossible to overlook. When a woman realizes that her true power lies not in how others see her, but in how she sees herself, profound transformation begins. Jung described the psyche as layers of inherited experiences, memories, and symbols passed down through generations. Many limiting beliefs aren't truly ours. They are societal imprints defining worth through external measures. From early on, many women are taught to comply, avoid conflict, and be kind at the expense of their own voice. But when a woman dares to challenge these rules and claims authenticity as her greatest strength, her energy shifts. She no longer seeks acceptance or approval. She begins to live from her own truth. This process isn't easy. Jung explained individuation as a journey through inner chaos and crisis, shedding masks worn for acceptance. Often, when a woman awakens and aligns with her true self, she faces pushback. Loved ones may reject her or say she's changed too much, but this resistance is merely a mirror reflecting their own fears when witnessing someone break free from conformity. The strength of an unforgettable woman isn't immunity to pain, but the understanding that rejection and criticism don't define her. Rather than fearing judgment, she watches it with curiosity, recognizing that others' reactions reveal their insecurities. This doesn't mean ignoring feelings, but refusing to let fear of opinions steer her life. When a woman confidently sets boundaries, says no without excuses, and chooses what's best for her over others' expectations, her presence becomes magnetic. Jung called this the integration of the shadow, accepting, not erasing, the parts we dislike, and transforming them into strength. If you've ever felt the need to shrink yourself to keep others comfortable, it's likely you're suppressing vital aspects of your being. According to Jung, the feminine psyche is deeply intuitive, connected to the unconscious and the soul. Yet in a culture valuing extreme rationality and control, many women disconnect from intuition out of fear of being labeled too emotional or irrational. Still, intuition remains one of the most powerful tools a woman has, an internal compass alerting when something is off, when a person or situation isn't what it seems. Women who trust their intuition become impossible to deceive. They don't wait for proof. Their body, Energy and inner knowing provide answers before the mind can rationalize illusions. In a world urging you to seek worth externally, the greatest strength is remembering you are already enough. The unforgettable woman doesn't chase approval because she has found it within. She doesn't strive to blend in because she knows her authenticity is her greatest treasure. This awareness doesn't arrive instantly. It's a gradual process of unlearning, questioning, and shedding everything that doesn't resonate with inner truth. And most importantly, it takes courage. When a woman chooses herself, refuses to settle for less than she deserves, and stops acting just to be accepted, her energy transforms. She's no longer the one pleading for love, adapting to fit in, or fearing solitude. Instead, she becomes the one who attracts, who selects with care whom to share her energy, who knows her presence is a gift, not meant for everyone. This shift touches all areas of life, relationships, career, social circles. Even the way she moves and speaks reflects her transformation. People feel it, even without words. And this strength comes not from arrogance, but from deep inner peace. The unforgettable woman isn't about impressing everyone. She leaves a lasting impression on those who truly matter. She doesn't crave the spotlight, but when she speaks, her words carry weight. When she enters a room, her energy is palpable, not because she demands attention, but because her authenticity makes her unforgettable. The essential truth is this: it's not about becoming someone else, but about uncovering who you truly are at your core and living authentically from that place. Being unforgettable isn't a skill to acquire. It's a truth to remember. Society may have taught you to doubt this, but it has always been your reality. Each time a woman boldly speaks her truth, claims her space, honors her intuition, and acts with conviction, she dismantles centuries of conditioning. Jung showed us that while the collective unconscious holds great power, individual consciousness can transcend it when chosen over compliance. If you've ever felt pressured to change yourself just to be accepted, know this: the most profound transformation isn't becoming someone different, but shedding all that you are not. It's a return to yourself, to your essence, to the enduring truth within. When you live freely, without asking permission, walking with the quiet confidence of one who knows herself, you become unforgettable. Not because others proclaim it, but because you feel it deeply. That certainty, that peace, that authentic presence, that is what leaves an indelible mark. Living from your truth will inevitably invite resistance. Not everyone is ready to embrace your authenticity because it challenges established structures, expectations, and comfort zones. But this resistance reveals your real strength, refusing to diminish yourself to soothe others' fears. Jung described individuation as, in many ways, a solitary path, not necessarily in isolation, but in stepping away from those forces that try to shape you for their convenience. This can be frightening, as the human psyche craves belonging. But the real question is, at what cost do you seek to belong? At the cost of your peace, your authenticity, your dreams? When a woman chooses to act from her truth rather than fear, everything changes. Relationships that once seemed essential may fall away if they no longer serve her growth. Familiar spaces may begin to feel stifling. This is not punishment, but liberation. True strength is often misunderstood as endurance, bearing whatever it takes to prove toughness. Jung, however, teaches us that strength lies in knowing when to let go. Not everything deserves your energy, and some battles aren't meant to be fought. Real power is in directing your efforts toward what truly matters. Letting go is difficult. Leaving behind a relationship that drains you, a job that stifles your spirit, or an environment that blocks your growth can be terrifying. The ego clings to familiarity, even painful familiarity. But the soul knows growth comes when you courageously step into the unknown. When a woman chooses this path, she discovers her incredible power, the ability to create a life in harmony with her essence. Here lies the difference between an unforgettable woman and one who fades into the crowd. The unforgettable woman does not cling. She trusts that what leaves, what transforms, is part of her evolution. She does not fear the void, knowing it's fertile ground where new life and possibilities arise. The unconscious mirrors our energy. We cannot attract new realities while vibrating on the same frequency as our limitations. When a woman shifts how she sees herself, her reality shifts too. She moves from waiting for others' validation to actively choosing her path. At this point, she no longer asks for permission, but lives her authenticity fully. She leaves a mark effortlessly, not because she seeks fame or recognition, but because her presence is so genuine and whole, it cannot be overlooked. People remember her not for her achievements, but for how she makes them feel. This is a profound truth Jung understood deeply. A person's true impact lies in what they radiate. The woman who integrates her shadow, embraces her intuition, and stops resisting her essence becomes magnetic. Others want to be near her. Not because she demands approval, but because her energy exemplifies authenticity in a world that pushes conformity. But this path isn't without challenge. Doubts, fears, and loneliness arise. Jung acknowledged that individuation is painful because it requires letting die parts of ourselves that no longer serve us. Yet in each symbolic death, there is rebirth. Every time a woman releases what isn't hers, every choice made from self-love rather than fear brings her closer to her true self. This is why unforgettable women cannot be copied or faked. Their power comes from every decision made, every boundary upheld, every truth spoken aloud. It is the fruit of deep inner work and an unshakable connection to their essence. Strength here isn't about invulnerability or emotional numbness. It isn't about never needing support. Rather, it is the courage to hold firm to one's truth, even when the world favors comfort and conformity. True strength is freedom. Freedom from expectations, from conditioning, from outdated fears. A woman free inside radiates an energy the world cannot ignore. Having walked this transformative path, integrating shadow, trusting intuition, choosing truth, her energy changes forever. She is no longer the woman who conformed, doubted her worth, or sought external validation. Now, she walks with the unwavering certainty that her existence is enough. She doesn't need to prove herself. Her authenticity speaks volumes. Her presence leaves an unforgettable impression, not because she tries, but because living with conviction is impossible to overlook. Her voice carries weight, her words inspire, and her energy invites others to do the same. Jung called individuation the most vital process of human life. When a woman achieves it, she becomes a guiding light for those still trapped in fear and doubt. But the journey doesn't end here. Life is a continual flow of growth, expansion, and self-discovery. The difference is that now, every step is taken from a place of power, consciousness, and deep connection to one's true self. This is the greatest freedom imaginable. To be yourself without apology, without fear, without seeking permission. This transformation is not just personal, it's collective. When a woman frees herself, she opens the door for others to do the same. Her example, her energy, Her very way of being inspires without words. This is the secret to being unforgettable. Not chasing memory, but living so authentically that impact becomes inevitable. As we near the end of this journey, remember, becoming unforgettable is not a straight line, but a spiral, a deepening return to self. The unforgettable woman embraces both her limits and limitless potential with quiet dignity. No pride, no shame, just acceptance. What remains is not about becoming, but unveiling, peeling away the layers of conditioning that hide your true nature. Ask yourself, what truths have you buried beneath expectations? What parts of your soul have been silenced to fit in? What magnificent parts of your authentic self could emerge if, even just today, you released judgment and allowed yourself to be fully you? The path of the unforgettable woman is a sacred pilgrimage to self-knowledge. It requires courage to stand firm when conformity's winds blow hardest, wisdom to tell fear from intuition, and compassion for moments when you lose your way. With every authentic step, you transform yourself and awaken collective consciousness. Know this, the unforgettable woman is not an ideal to chase, but a truth to remember, a memory rooted not in the mind, but deep in your being. The world doesn't need more women who diminish themselves to fit outdated ideas of femininity. It longs for women who have reclaimed their wholeness and walk life embodying integrated truth. In your authentic presence lies liberation, and a beacon silently granting others permission to begin their own unforgettable journey. This is not just your moment, it is your birthright. Step boldly into your fullness, for in that sacred space where courage meets authenticity, you will realize you have always been unforgettable. The only question left, will you finally let yourself be seen? If you haven't yet, subscribe and turn on notifications to join a community where authenticity thrives, where every woman dares to be unforgettable, not for others' views, but for the strength of living her own truth. See you in the next video.